I've watched Wicked 6 times in cinemas and twice in the West End this year, so I feel like I know Wicked very well by now. So I thought I'd compile all the Wicked lore that I know into one video and tell you it all while I turn myself into Elphaba. I'll link all the products I'm using in the description instead of butting in the story, otherwise it's going to get very confusing. Also, if I'm looking down here, my notes are here, that's what I'm looking at. In the 1900s, there was a book series called The Wizard of Oz by a man called Lyman Frank Baum. The first book was The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and it was followed by 13 books in the series. Think of his series as like the blueprint to the Wizard of Oz universe. So many spin-offs and lots of remakes, but the land of Oz is a fantasy land where animals can speak, and there's obviously wizards and witches. In 1939, the movie The Wizard of Oz, the musical, which is the one that everyone knows, was made, and it's an adaptation of the original book. And it's an adaptation of the first book in the series that follows Dorothy's journey through the land of Oz. It's not based on the other books. The other books are about the individual characters like the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion and so on. The Wizard of Oz movie, as we all know, is one of the most iconic movies of all times, but they did change a few things from the books. Like obviously they made it into a musical. Off to see the wizard. They changed the colour of the slippers. In the book they were originally silver and they changed them to ruby red. They also changed the ending to say it was all a dream at the end, which wasn't in the book. I'm not going to paint my ears green too much because if you've ever put face paint on your ears, you know it's literally the hardest thing in the world to get off. In 1995, the Wicked novel was released by Gregory Maguire. And this is of course where the Wicked lore begins. I'm kind of not being able to take myself seriously right now because I look really crazy. The Wicked novel is a reimagined novel of the original book series, and it is not based on the Judy Garland film. It's a prequel to The Land of Oz from the witches' perspective. It explores their sides more. Then in 2003 they did the stage production, which is the one that everyone knows and loves. It's an adaptation of the Wicked novel, which is kind of got a more softer side and obviously a more theatre musical fun side to it. I haven't read the Wicked novel but I really want to, but it kind of cuts a lot of the political darker stuff out of it and makes it a bit lighter. And of course in 2024 the movie version of it came out with Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, which is an adaptation of the musical, which is an adaptation of the book, which is an adaptation of the original Wizard of Oz book. Get where I'm coming from? It's kind of confusing. The new film is an adaptation from the Broadway show basically. Anyway, let's get into how the stories link up, because in my opinion this is the most interesting and most exciting part of it all. Think of it as The Wizard of Oz is a story that people wanted to know and Wicked is the story that actually happened. The timeline of The Wizard of Oz is over a couple of weeks, however the timeline of Wicked is over a few years. Dorothy's house lands on the Wicked Witch of the East. Glinda meets her, gives her the shoes, and then she goes off to meet the wizard to try and go back home. On her way she meets the Scarecrow, the Tin Man and the Lion. The Wicked Witch tortures her along the way and then she meets the wizard. Dorothy tips water over the Wicked Witch and it melts her and she goes back home and lives happily ever after. I think I put too much of this purple on, oh my god. The story of Wicked starts here, and this is where we learn the Wicked Witch, the rest of her name is Elphaba. Elphaba was actually named after the original author of the original series. His name's Lyman Frank Baum. Elphaba, his initials, which I thought was very cool. This is where Wicked starts, where Elphaba has just melted and all the townspeople are celebrating her death. They're greeted by Glinda the Good Witch and they sing No One Mourns the Wicked, which has a double meaning, as in no one mourns the wicked like nobody does, or no but one mourns the wicked, if you know what I mean. While Glinda is talking to everyone in the town, someone asks her how and why does she know Elphaba, so that prompts her to tell Elphaba's story. She talks about how Elphaba was born green because her mum cheated on her dad and drank this green elixir. Years later they have another daughter called Nessa Rose. Elphaba's dad was so worried that their second daughter would come out green too, that whilst her mum was pregnant he would make her eat all these flowers, so hopefully she didn't turn out green, she turned out normal. However, that made her mum pass in childbirth and Nessa Rose not be able to walk. Nessa Rose became the prized possession of the family and kind of only what her father cared about. A big chunk of the story happened whilst there at Shiz University. I've looked it up and I honestly don't know why it's called Shiz University. I feel like it's a really random name, but that is what it's called. Elphaba wasn't actually supposed to attend the university, but she was there dropping off her sister and she accidentally done her magic and showed everyone, and the magic teacher, Madame Morrible, saw it and said, you need to come and join my class, I'm going to teach you one-to-one. So Elphaba went and joined the university. Elphaba and Glinda were paired as roommates and they loathed each other at first. that has been stuck in my head for the past 3 weeks non-stop. Glinda jokingly gave Elphaba the black pointy hat, which we now know as the witch's hat, to wear to a school dance to embarrass her because she thought it was really ugly. And she hated Elphaba, so why not embarrass her? But Elphaba thought Glinda was being really nice, so she went to speak to Madame Morrible to see if Glinda could join her magic class because Glinda really wanted to do that. At the ball, Glinda finds out that Elphaba's just done this nice thing for her. So she feels awful that she's tried to embarrass her, so she tries to stop it, and it's too late. Elphaba's there and everyone's laughing at her hat, and she starts to dance and everyone's just laughing at her. So Glinda starts to copy her and dance with her. They have a cute little moment, bond and become besties, and then the whole popular scene comes and they're kind of just best friends for the rest of it.
Don't make me laugh. They were popular. What?
There's a couple of really important love triangles to remember. Glinda is in love with Fiero, who's actually in love with Elphaba. And Nessa Rose is in love with this munchkin boy named Bok, who's actually in love with Glinda. And I know you're definitely thinking about that TikTok song right now because I am thinking about it too. At the time, the Oz government were trying to get the animals to stop speaking, and Elphaba was a huge advocate against this. One day in class, there's a lion cub in a cage and Elphaba and Fiero free this lion. They have a little moment. Then the lion later on becomes the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. Because of Elphaba's amazing magical powers, the Wizard of Oz wants to see her, so he invites her to come and see him, and of course Glinda tags along. Elphaba is over the moon because it's all she's ever wanted. She sang a song earlier on about The Wizard and I. It's literally her dream come true, so she's so over the moon. They soon learn that the wizard is actually the one causing all the harm to animals and wants them to stop speaking. The wizard tricks Elphaba and makes her cast a spell on all his monkey servants to grow wings. And that's where the flying monkeys were born. Elphaba figures out that the wizard actually has no real powers and he's just using her for her power, so he seems more powerful. Obviously Elphaba wants nothing to do with this, so she runs away, sings Defying Gravity, and that's the end of Act 1. / the first film. Act 2 starts years later. Elphaba goes to visit Nessa Rose and gives her these slippers that have superpowers that make her walk. And that's when Bok leaves Nessa because he realises he's kind of no longer needed. So Nessa puts a spell on him and accidentally makes him lose his heart and become the Tin Man. The government are trying to capture Elphaba because she's the most powerful person. So they put Nessa Rose in danger. Madame Morrible, the magic teacher from Shiz University, whose specialty is weather, casts a spell to cause a storm which causes a twister and the house to fall on Nessa Rose, which is where The Wizard of Oz begins. Glinda meets Dorothy, gives her the slippers, and you know the rest of the story. Elphaba is trying to protect her love Fiero, and she accidentally casts a spell on him which turns him into the Scarecrow. Elphaba then captures Dorothy to try and get her sister's shoes back, but then Dorothy actually melts the witch. The Wizard of Oz ends with Elphaba melting and Dorothy going home and everyone being happy ever after. But Wicked doesn't end here. After Elphaba melts, Glinda sees that all that's left is her hat and the green elixir. She puts it together that Elphaba's real father was in fact the wizard, and that's how she got her magical powers. And this was the wizard's plan all along, so he could use her for her magic. I think I have a witch's hat. I'm gonna go look for it and come back. I found it. Okay. The story ends with Fiero the Scarecrow knocking on the door where Elphaba melted and realising she faked her death. And then they run off into the sunset together, no one ever realising that she was actually still alive. And they lived happily ever after, of course. Which is a completely different ending to the ending that we all know. I hope you're all obsessed with it like I am. It's so fascinating. I think it's so crazy how the stories are like intertwined and how well it's all written. But that's like the basics that you need to know, and it's just so good. And also I'm really excited for part 2 on the film because the film blew me away. I thought it was going to be good, but it's 10 times better. I genuinely think it's the best film that they've ever made. It's so good, everything about it is so perfect and I couldn't think of one thing to change. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to make this into like a little pop culture series because I love pop culture so much, where I turn it into something to do with the story and tell you the lore behind it. I have been planning a Chapel Roan one, so that will be coming at some point, but let me know who else you want to see. I've had literally the most fun filming this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and see you tomorrow because I'm posting every single day until Christmas.